Hello everybody and welcome back to Ideology Explained. Today I'm telling you about anarchism. In general, all of it, to the best of my ability. Please note that this is a very basic overview over some general anarchist ideas. I will not go into detail about anything here. In general, anarchism can be summed up as the ideology which attempts to reach anarchy. Now, most people think about chaos and destruction when they hear anarchy, but that's not what this is about. In this case, anarchy means a society without unjust hierarchies, or without any hierarchies, depending on which kind of anarchist you're talking about. That means no queen, no president, and no governments as we know them. This is because to anarchists, nobody can have the right to govern someone else without their consent. Individual freedom is very important in anarchism. But that is not to say that there would not be any governments anymore. Anarchism just demands a non-hierarchical or completely voluntary government. Sometimes. Others really want no government. That means there could still be a government, but there could be no people with the ability to decide over anyone else without the express consent of those people. That means democracy is basically the only way this can work. But not representative democracy, since that one has representatives, not delegates. The difference is that a delegate can be called back at any time, while a representative gets elected and then gets legal immunity for 4 years. Alternatively, it could also be direct democracy. The prevalence of this depends on the type of anarchist. As you can tell, there is quite a diversity of thought in anarchism, so it's very hard to say general things about it. Almost all anarchists would abolish nations and governments as we know them completely, though. Some would replace the functions of the state with a 100% democratic commune, and others would trust in their guns and the decency of the average person. All anarchist ideologies I am aware of would abolish the police force. The reason is that people who are in positions of power, like the police, for a long time can come to abuse it. This is also the same reason why there must be no people who govern. The theory is that absolute power corrupts absolutely, and thus all power corrupts to a certain extent. The anarchist solution is to abolish positions of power like that. There are different ideas as to what should replace the police force. Some anarchists want a new type of law enforcement, which is done by the people themselves. There are lots of theories on this. Pretty much all anarchists are pro-gun, since that's how they would defend themselves. They also oppose anything that violates individual freedom. That means they're oftentimes on the side of Antifa in order to oppose fascism, or on the side of whoever wants to legalize abortion. Some anarchists are anti-electoralists. That means they don't take part in democracy because they view it as an unjust system and they don't want to legitimize it. But others again argue that the state, even if unjust in nature and not capable of meaningful reform, can still be used to reduce harm, like by voting for a party that wouldn't put children in cages. Very broadly, anarchists can be split into two groups, social anarchists and individual anarchists. Basically, individualist anarchy is all about the liberty of the individual from outside control, while social anarchy is more about achieving the most freedom for a whole group, like by mutual aid, which just means helping those who need it in your community, like offering to look after your neighbor's kid or them giving you food and care if you're unable to provide for yourself. Economically, anarchists can be divided into anarcho-capitalists and anarcho-communists, and they do not like each other. As the name suggests, anarcho-capitalists, or ANCAPs, want to abolish the state while keeping the institution of private property as well as the free market. Their property would be defended by the so-called non-aggression principle, or NAP. It states that nobody can aggress against anyone else or their property, or else they're exempt from the NAP and will presumably be lynched. Anarcho-communists, or ANCOMs, believe that anarchism requires socialism as well as the ownership over the means of production by the people. That means a factory would not belong to an individual, but to the people who work there. That ownership could be enforced by the workers themselves or by the commune. Naturally, ANCOMs are very much influenced by the writings of Karl Marx and other leftists. And those two groups hate each other. They accuse each other of not being real anarchists. The ANCOMs say that capitalism is inherently authoritarian because it gives an employer lots of power over the lives of their workers, like by dictating when they must work and so on, as well as that private security organization would just turn into a new state which would be ruled by the rich. And on the other side, ANCAPs accuse ANCOMs of not being real anarchists because they're using Marxism, which killed 7 quintillion people, and by oppressing the freedom of the employers to own property. And they hate each other so much that if you scroll down to the comment section, you will see anarchists angrily asking why I mentioned the evil not real anarchists at all. There are a great deal of anarchist authors and they all have different theories as well as different ways of achieving their anarchist society. Please forgive me for not mentioning any. This video is supposed to be a very broad overview over what anarchism is in general. Around anarchists you will often hear the words theory and praxis. Theory refers to the theoretical literature about anarchism, which has been around since the French Revolution, and praxis refers to the act of actually working towards that ideal anarchism. In general, when doing praxis, anarchists use horizontalism, which is just code for a style of leadership in which everyone has a say on what they're going to do. Anarcho-communist praxis can include creating mutual aid networks in which members help each other, taking part in anti-fascist action, taking over unoccupied houses and living in them without paying rent as a protest against private property, or taking part in a peaceful demonstration against police brutality. Anarcho-capitalist praxis, on the other hand, is making a YouTube channel with a furry avatar that crosses its arms while rambling about how the labor theory of value is wrong because of people with disabilities. And that's all I had to say about that. Thanks to my patrons for giving me money, and extra special thanks to Aaron J. Patton, Dodo Z, Anarchist77, Darius the Bird, Noah, Spear, and Styler Dang for your generous donations.